It's 2025. The headlines are growing louder. Deportation buses are filling up. Protests erupt in the streets of San Francisco, Chicago, and New York. Asian flags wave in defiance while tear gas clouds swirl in the background. In a move no one predicted, or perhaps everyone feared, Donald Trump is allegedly pushing for the largest immigration crackdown in modern U.S. history. But this time, he isn't targeting one nation or a single religious group. He's reportedly eyeing 9 Asian countries for removal, restriction, or total shutdown of immigrant access to the United States. From Silicon Valley tech experts to frontline healthcare workers, from war refugees to international students, millions of lives now hang in the balance. The rhetoric is rising, the policies are shifting, and the consequences could reshape America's identity forever. Trump's comeback in 2024, whether in the White House or from the sidelines, has reignited his nationalist crusade. His 2016 to 2020 playbook is back, but this time it's turbocharged. His new target, a sweeping purge of Asian influence in American immigration. We dive deep into the 9 Asian countries Trump allegedly wants gone from U.S. soil, and why this might be the biggest immigration showdown of our generation. 1. China. When it comes to China, Trump's grievances run deep. From economic rivalry to national security alarms, Beijing has long been painted as America's biggest adversary. The 2023 spy balloon incident reignited Cold War-style tensions, and in Trump's rhetoric, China became the symbol of foreign infiltration. The number of Chinese nationals in the U.S., particularly students and researchers, has drawn scrutiny. The FBI has warned about espionage risks in academic labs and tech sectors, and Trump often repeated those warnings, sometimes bordering on racial generalizations. Restrictions on visas for Chinese researchers and postdocs started under his first term, and in 2025, he's allegedly ready to double down. With rising fears around intellectual property theft and growing U.S.-Taiwan tensions, Chinese immigrants may soon find themselves at the center of a political and diplomatic storm. 2. India. India has a complicated place in Trump's immigration worldview. On one hand, he has publicly praised Prime Minister Modi, even calling him a great friend. On the other, his administration previously imposed restrictions on H-1B visas, a move that disproportionately impacted Indian tech workers. By 2025, Indian nationals account for the majority of H-1B visa holders in the U.S., filling roles in software, finance, and medicine. But Trump's new wave of protectionist messaging targets outsourcing and the replacement of American jobs. Silicon Valley's deep ties to Indian talent are now framed as a liability. The narrative is shifting. Once hailed as partners in innovation, Indian immigrants now find themselves framed as threats to job security. With reports of rising undocumented Indian immigrants, especially in border states, Trump's policies may soon move from rhetoric to reality. 3. Pakistan. Pakistan's relationship with the U.S. has always been tenuous, and under Trump, it grew colder. He once accused the Pakistani government of harboring terrorists and famously cut military aid in 2018. Now, in 2025, Pakistanis in America face mounting pressure. Overstay violations, visa fraud cases, and surveillance efforts have increased, especially in Pakistani-majority neighborhoods in states like Texas and New York. With the ever-present national security narrative, Trump's stance remains clear. Pakistan is seen less as an ally and more as a security risk. For Pakistani immigrants, especially asylum seekers and students, the future in the U.S. looks increasingly unstable. 4. Bangladesh. Bangladesh doesn't often make headlines, but it's quietly becoming a target in Trump's immigration agenda. Cities like New York and Detroit have seen a significant rise in undocumented Bangladeshi immigrants over the last decade. Sanctuary city debates have dragged the Bangladeshi community into the spotlight. Right-wing outlets accuse Democratic-led cities of shielding illegal immigrants, often citing Bangladeshis by name. Reports of visa fraud and border entry through Mexico have led to calls for tighter screening. Though Bangladesh may not be publicly called out as loudly as others, behind the scenes, DHS is reportedly ramping up removals and surveillance. 5. Philippines. The Philippines has long been a vital source of medical workers in the United States. Thousands of Filipino nurses, caregivers, and health professionals form the backbone of American elder care and hospitals. But even this community hasn't escaped scrutiny. Trump-era immigration hawks allege that a significant number of Filipinos overstay their visas, particularly in California and Nevada. Combined with historical tension over military alliances and the Duterte-Trump relationship, the Filipino community now finds itself in a precarious spot. ICE reports from 2025 indicate a surge in removal orders for Filipino immigrants. Even for 6. Iran. Iran remains one of Trump's most targeted nations. From pulling out of the Iran nuclear deal to branding it part of the axis of evil, Trump's legacy is built on anti-Iranian rhetoric. Under his presidency, Iranian nationals faced a full travel ban. That legacy continues to haunt the community. In 2025, Iranian Americans report increased FBI inquiries, travel restrictions, and visa rejections, despite being highly educated and contributing to industries like science and medicine. Trump's immigration team now reportedly wants to reinstate a version of the travel ban, with Iran at the top of the list. Diplomats warn that such actions may provoke deeper regional instability. 7. Vietnam. Vietnamese immigration surged after the Vietnam War, with the U.S. welcoming refugees by the thousands. Today, the community thrives in states like California and Texas. But trade tensions and espionage claims have tainted this historic relationship. Trump's economic team argues that Vietnam is China's silent partner and is undermining U.S. manufacturing. In 2025, deportation efforts are quietly expanding, especially targeting Vietnamese with minor criminal records or expired documentation. Advocates warn this mirrors the mass removal seen in previous decades and could fracture one of the most integrated immigrant communities in America. 8. North Korea. North Korean immigration is rare, but symbolically, it holds weight in Trump's geopolitical playbook. His dramatic meetings with Kim Jong-un, followed by sharp turnarounds, made headlines for years. In 2025, the issue isn't numbers, it's messaging. Trump's team argues that even defectors and asylum seekers from North Korea pose unknown threats. It's a position driven more by political optics than national statistics. Nonetheless, recent leaks suggest DHS has flagged North Korean asylum applications for extra scrutiny, effectively halting their processing. 9. Afghanistan. The fall of Kabul and Biden's resettlement of over 70,000 Afghan refugees in 2021 marked a major turning point in U.S. immigration. Trump harshly criticized the move then, and in 2025, he's looking to reverse it. Trump's allies argue the screening process was flawed and that many Afghan refugees pose cultural incompatibility or security risks. ICE raids on Afghan communities have reportedly increased, with deportation flights quietly resumed. The irony? Many of these refugees were translators and allies who helped U.S. troops. Now, they face deportation from the very nation they served. Across all 9 countries, a clear pattern emerges. These nations are either Muslim-majority, communist-affiliated, or involved in historic conflicts with the U.S. Most have large, visible communities in major American cities, and all are now under some level of scrutiny or political targeting. But is this about actual security threats, or something deeper? Critics argue it's more about politics than protection. Trump's base thrives on fear-driven narratives. Immigrants are framed not as contributors, but as competitors, criminals, or threats to real American identity. Right-wing media outlets amplify these fears. Stories of visa overstays or isolated incidents are spun into national security emergencies. DHS insiders have even leaked internal memos indicating a shift toward race and religion-based monitoring, often unofficial, but real in practice. And while some states push back, others support these crackdowns. In Republican-led states, local law enforcement is already working with ICE to detain and deport immigrants from the countries on Trump's alleged list. This isn't just a federal-level strategy. It's a nationwide cultural reset on immigration. Political fallout. As Trump allegedly targets these 9 Asian nations for deportation and visa crackdowns, the political aftershocks are already beginning to reverberate across the United States. Progressive lawmakers have sounded the alarm. Figures like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Pramila Jayapal have accused Trump of reviving Muslim Ban 2.0 under the guise of national security. Protests are erupting in immigrant-heavy districts, and civil rights organizations, like the ACLU and Asian Americans Advancing Justice, are preparing lawsuits to challenge potential executive orders. Meanwhile, immigration attorneys are overwhelmed. Legal helplines have seen a surge in calls from concerned families, international students, and visa holders worried about sudden policy changes or ICE detentions. The political implications are enormous. Asian American voters, one of the fastest-growing electoral blocs, are watching closely. In battleground states like Nevada, Georgia, Texas, New York, and California, any perception of targeted racism or unjust deportations could swing critical races. Young voters, especially second-generation immigrants, are increasingly mobilizing on platforms like TikTok and Instagram, demanding that politicians take a stand against xenophobic policy shifts. Internationally, the reaction is no less severe. Indian and Filipino diplomats have already issued warnings about deteriorating relations if mass removals occur. Iranian media outlets call the move another Western crusade against Islam. Even U.S. allies in Asia are privately expressing concern over the message it sends. Some nations are even threatening retaliatory policies, like denying U.S. investments, cutting visa quotas for Americans, or expelling. What this means for America. At its core, this isn't just about immigration policy. It's about the soul of America. America has always portrayed itself as a beacon for the world's tired, poor, and huddled masses. The Statue of Liberty stands not just as a monument, but as a promise. But with targeted removals of immigrants from specific Asian countries, that promise is under siege. The country risks rewriting its immigrant narrative, not as one of opportunity, but of exclusion, fear, and selective acceptance. Second-generation Americans from these communities, people born and raised in the U.S., are now questioning if they truly belong. Hate crimes are rising. Schools are reporting bullying of Asian students. It's not just policy, it's a cultural shift. On the economic front, the cost of these removals could be devastating. Consider this. Indian and Chinese tech professionals fuel Silicon Valley's innovation engine. Filipino nurses are the backbone of elder care. Iranian engineers, Vietnamese entrepreneurs, and Pakistani small business owners play vital roles in U.S. infrastructure. Mass deportations would not only create labor shortages, but also decimate entire sectors of the economy. Businesses are already warning of disruptions. Hospitals could face staffing crises. Lawsuits over wrongful deportation and discrimination may pile up, costing the federal government billions in litigation. And then there's geopolitics. If the U.S. begins to alienate its key Asian allies, it risks pushing them toward China, the very rival Trump is trying to contain. India, the Philippines, and Vietnam are crucial partners in the Indo-Pacific strategy. Undermining diplomatic goodwill through immigration policy could collapse years of careful alliance building. In a race for global influence, America may be shooting itself in the foot. It's not just 9 countries. It's millions of lives deeply woven into the fabric of American society. Families, businesses, schools, and entire communities could be ripped apart in the name of political optics and nationalist rhetoric. This could be the largest mass immigration crackdown in decades, if it happens. But even the threat of it is enough to cause fear, division, and lasting damage. Is this truly on the horizon, or is it all just political theater? That depends. Trump's political influence in 2025 is undeniable, whether he's in the White House or acting as kingmaker from the sidelines. But real implementation depends on Congress, federal courts, and the will of the American people. Already, early policy drafts are circulating. DHS insiders confirm task forces are being formed. Governors in red states are echoing Trump's tone. It may start slowly, with increased visa denials, ICE detentions, and quiet deportations. But it could build momentum